Let me tell you right away, those were swimming trunks, okay? So I'm 61 years old, and for my entire life, except for a family and a few friends, nobody knew that I had polio until today. I think you can see there's a difference in my legs. In fact, my left leg is 15 inches in circumference and my right leg is 10 inches. But the difference isn't just in my legs. Look at my feet. One is size 12, the other 9.5. And there's one other big difference. The heel cord on my right leg is very tight. The impact of my tight heel cord can be seen when I walk up an incline, play the piano pedal, when I walk upstairs, or run. Throughout my life, I was able to conceal my deformities by wearing long pants and shoes. For example, 3 months after I dated my wife, I told her about my polio leg. She thought I was joking. So how did this happen? I was born in 1951. In 1952, 60,000 people contracted polio. Most of them were children. I was one of those 60,000. Of those 60,000, 3,000 died. That's 10 people every day. 10 every day for a year. They died because the muscles for breathing suddenly stopped working. Within minutes, they were dead. Of those who didn't die, large numbers suffered severe and permanent disability of a limb or limbs. They never walked again, or only with a bad limp or crutches. Some of us, however, didn't suffer such severe effects. And as I was told so many times as I grew up, I was one of the lucky ones. By the way, as most of you know, polio hasn't been a threat in the United States for a long time now because a polio vaccine was developed. The vaccine, a shot, was available for widespread use in 1955. You know, you'd think I'd be an expert on polio, but I'm not. I do know, though, that it's a virus, and to get it, you have to somehow get it to your mouth and then swallow it. You don't inhale it into your lungs, get it from mosquito bites or contaminated food. Once you swallow it, it goes into your bloodstream. Then it kills nerves that control muscles of your legs, arm, or muscles for breathing and swallowing. In my case, when I was 14 months old, my mother took me out of the bathtub and I wouldn't stand up. They took me to the hospital and the diagnosis of polio was confirmed. I was placed in isolation in the LA County Hospital. A week later, I came home. Several days after that, when I saw our newly placed Christmas tree, I stood up and walked over for a closer look. Boy, my parents must have been so relieved to see me take those small steps. But the doctors knew that many nerves controlling my right leg had been destroyed, and so my prolonged and intensive rehab program began. For over 10 years, not once a month, not twice a month, but 2 times a week, my mother took me to physical therapy. During each visit, Doris, my physical therapist, would massage my right leg, and then she'd wrap it for electrical stimulation therapy, although I never felt any of the electrical stimulation, but I guess it worked its way in. In addition, 2 times a year for 17 years, my mother and I met with Dr. Hunt, an orthopedic specialist who monitored my condition and planned my treatment. My therapy included hopping 100 times a day. Throughout my youth, Frequently, my mother would ask me, "Robert, did you do your hopping today?" And if I hadn't, I'd dutifully get up and start hopping around the living room. Other than that, polio didn't much affect my youth. My legs were virtually the same in appearance, and I could walk and run normally. But then puberty struck, and I grew a lot. My right calf muscle fell behind in development, and my left leg started to get longer than my right. So when I was in the 10th grade, I had my first surgery. 4 large staples were hammered in to the far end of my upper left leg bone. Somehow, someone figured that if you do that, it will slow the growth of that bone. And it worked. My right leg caught up. Today, both legs are the same length. The other big problem, for reasons I still don't understand, concerned the growth of my Achilles tendon. My right tendon wasn't growing, and by age 17, my heel, when standing, was 2 inches from the ground. So I had another surgery, but this time on the Achilles tendon of my right leg. Dr. Hunt did a Z-cut. He cut like this and then reattached the ends. I was in a cast and used crutches for 10 weeks. When the cast came off, for the first time in years, while my tendon was still very tight, at least now I could bring my heel to the ground. Since that surgery, while my polio leg made the task somewhat more challenging, I was able to engage in backpacking, water and snow skiing, and windsurfing. So that's my lucky polio story. Now you know. But there's more. All my life, even on the hottest days, I've worn long pants when I went out in public places because I didn't want people to see my polio leg. But I've decided to change that. I'm going to do what I haven't done before.